Hello and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to create this really cool banner made only with shapes. So for this video we need a good understanding on how the pen tool works. If you don't, there are plenty of videos out there to help you, and it's quite simple. So that's a little heads up, and always you can use whatever gradients and colors and shapes that you want. So with that being said, I will release the PSD for this banner when this video reaches 600 likes, so don't forget to give this video a like, subscribe and turn on post notifications. Let's get right into it. Alright, so to create this really cool shapes banner, we're going to make a new document. Let's go to new, and we're going to make it 3000 by 1000, resolution on 72, and the background color could be white. Alright, so let's create a new layer, and we're going to go to the gradient tool and just pick a nice gradient. Make sure it's the radial gradient. You can just do Ctrl and R, put out some guidelines in the middle, and then just create a nice gradient, just like so. Alright, we're going to start off by doing some circular shapes. So I'm just going to grab the elliptical marker tool. Just going to press down Shift about right down here. Create kind of a big circle. Just going to fill it with like a dark color, kind of like that. I think we can make it a bit bigger, like that. We're going to double click on it to add a layer style. We're going to add a bevel and emboss. You can just copy these settings if you would like, kind of like so. And then we're just going to duplicate this layer, but we can remove the layer style, and we're going to make it a lighter color, kind of like that. Make it a bit smaller, and you just position it inside the circle. Ctrl U, we can make it a bit lighter, something like that. Then we can duplicate the circle again. We're going to fill it with a gradient. That looks kind of like this. It's going to Ctrl T, make it a bit smaller, a little bit bigger. It's got a nice thin edge, kind of like that. I think that looks cool. And then let's do one final circle. Position it how you like, kind of like that. I'm going to go into the layer style again. We're going to add an inner shadow. So just mess around till you get the settings how you like them. You want it kind of dark, something like that looks cool. You're going to right click, you're going to rasterize the layer style, because then we're going to go into filter, blur, then Gaussian blur. We're going to add a bit of a blur to get this kind of effect, and I think it's a bit too light. We're going to do Ctrl U and make it darker. Okay, great. So for our final touch, I think we're just going to add a bit of a color. So let's grab this circle right here. We can duplicate it, double click on it, and we're going to add a stroke, and on the outside, I think, yes, on the outside, kind of like that, 2 pixels. And I choose this really nice gradient. You can use whatever you want. And then we'll go into the blending options and drag down the fill opacity. Then I'm just going to make this a bit smaller. You could leave it just like this, but I'm going to duplicate it, and on the bottom layer, drag down the lightness all the way to -100 to make it black, and then grab the upper layer with the color, and we're going to use a eraser tool, hardness 100, and we're going to take it off maybe right there. Oh, opacity is 100% as well. So just like that. So it looks like the color is filling up this black circle. I think that looks really cool. And what you can do is also add some outer glow. I think that looks really cool actually. So let's move on and create some other shapes. If you would like, you can just make this a group, Ctrl and G. So you're going to make a new layer, to grab our pen tool, grab the pen tool, and we want to create kind of a You can use Control and grab to these points to move around, and then Alt to alter the curvature. So you get the shape exactly how you would like it. It's connected. And then you can do Control and Enter to make a selection of it. And we're going to grab our gradient. I think a little bit of a lighter gradient. Then I'm just going to duplicate it and right click and make it a clip mask. And I'm going to do the gradient the other way around. So the dark is here and the light is here. So like that, I'm just going to drag it down until we get this right. Kind of a cool effect. And you can just drag down the opacity just a little bit. Great, that looks really cool actually. I think I'm going to add a shape kind of right here to make it a little bit rounded. So just make a new layer under it. Going to grab our pen tool again. Just click and drag, trying to line it up. So it looks sort of rounded. Kind of like that. Connect it and then Control and Enter to make a selection. And just grab a nice gradient. Kind of like that. That looks great. And I think I want to do something on the background here to make it a little bit interesting. So I'm just going to make a new layer. I'm just going to fill this area in with the pen tool. Just like this. Control and Enter to make a selection. Let's do like a light gradient. Radial gradient. So we have the light in the middle. Then I'm going to use this really cool texture. I'll show you just 1 second. And we're going to make it a clip mask to the shape that we made behind here. Just right click, clip mask. And I think you need to make it a bit bigger. And then we're going to make this layer the blend mode overlay. Right, so let's create some more shapes. Just going to make a new layer. We're going to grab our pen tool again. I think I want a shape that starts kind of high up here and ends kind of low down here. Then use Alt to just change it up. And then Control if you want to move the points. Kind of like that is connected. And I think you want to go to fill this in with kind of like a dark gradient. Kind of like that. You barely see it, but we're going to change that in a bit. And we're going to make a new layer, make it a clip mask. We're going to add some bit of like texture and some depth to this shape that we just created. So you just go back to our pen tool, add like a point in the halfway, kind of right here, and let's let it connect kind of like around there. Just connect it. Make a selection. We're going to add a bit of a brighter gradient. Great. We can also add a little bit of like a colorful line, kind of like right here, but let's add another one. So to prepare it, you just go to our brush tool, make it, let's see, maybe I think 5 will do. We want it kind of thick, and you just drag the hardness all the way up, something like that. Perfect. Then we can do grab our brush tool, be kind of like that. Then you want to right click on the line so you get this like plus mark, and you're going to do stroke path, and that's where we pre-made the brush. So now it's going to select brush and then OK, and just press delete, and you can see it has made a line. Great, but I think we're going to add a gradient to it. So just double click on it, add a gradient overlay. You can add some outer glow, and then adds a little bit of a point to the end right here. So kind of like that. Just grab a color and just fill it in. Let's add some more shapes to get some more depth. So I'm just going to grab a pen tool again, start up here and end around here again, and do something like that. Just connect it, make a selection, and we're going to fill it in with quite of a bright gradient. So we can do white to like kind of like that. Can make it actually a bit brighter, kind of like that. It's great. Add some contrast. And then I think we could add one final shape behind everything right here. So grab our pen tool. So we're going to start around here, then end all the way around here. Make a big nice shape. Kind of like that, and just connect it. I'm just going to do a nice, a little bit of a brighter gray kind of gradient. Oh, Control and E, yeah, make Control and Enter and make a selection first. Then use Control and J to duplicate it and make a clip mask. I'm just going to flip the gradient kind of like that and get the same kind of effect again. Maybe not. Let's flip it. Let's make another gradient. Want it to be kind of bright, so let's do bright gradient, kind of like that maybe. You can also make the base a little bit brighter, I think. So yeah, something like that I think was really cool. And yeah, I think we're just going to add a bevel and emboss on this layer as well. Like that, I'm just going to make everything a little bit bigger. So like that, I think looks really cool actually. But I think it's a bit too big, and I think we need to redo this shape right here. So I'm just going to do that real quickly. Right, so after some tweaking, I think it looks really cool right now. I think we need to do some sort of shape up right here to kind of like round it off. So I'm just going to do that. So we're just going to create a new layer under it. And just grab our pen tool again and create kind of like a shape, kind of like so. I'm just going to connect it and fill it in. I think we can do a kind of a light gradient, kind of like so. I think I'm going to duplicate it and make it a clip mask. And take a bit to the right. I think I'm going to fill this in with a darker gradient, so we get some sort of like a kind of like that. I think I'm going to make the first one a little bit darker, kind of like that. And I think we're just going to add some lines to these as well. So remember we did with the brush tool, small size and hardness at 100. Right, so I'm just going to grab the pen tool and we're going to make our lines. So kind of like the line path. And remember that you can use Control to move around the points and Alt to grab these points right here and change the angle. Then we're going to right click again and choose stroke path and then the brush. Great, I think this is a bit too big, so I think I'm just going to lower the brush size to maybe like 3 pixels. This is great. I'm just going to duplicate it and put one on the edge of every one of them. We're going to make the second line a bit brighter, I think, like so. And duplicate this once more. And I'm going to make this the gradient. Just add a gradient overlay like that, and maybe add some outer glow. That looks really cool, but I think it's a bit too bright, so I'm just going to make a group of everything right here, just like so. And then we're going to add a curves adjustment layer. Make sure it's a clip mask, and we can just drag this out so you can see the. I'm just going to drag down the shadows right here towards the end. It's great. I think it's going to pop out the line with the gradient so it doesn't get affected. Just like that. And then you can make all this one group to make it easier. Great, so now we're happy with our base shape. I'm going to make everything a group. Control and J and then Control and E to merge it. And then Control and T and rotate it 180 degrees. And just move it to the other corner. Just like so. I think that looks really cool. And now let's add our logo, or if you don't have a logo, you can add some text. So I'm just going to grab my logo real quick. Right, so just like that. Great, so we're going to start off by just adding a drop shadow to separate it from the background. I want to use quite of a big drop shadow and with a bit of a distance. You can just copy these settings if you would like, or try it out for yourself to get it right, but I think something like that looks cool. But I think it's a little bit too bright, so but before we do that, let's add a bevel and emboss. Just the same as we used before. We're going to make a new layer, make it a clip mask. It's going to grab our brush tool, alt click, and then right click on your mouse to change the size and the hardness. And I'm just going to add some like shadow or some some shadow and some, I don't know really what to call it, but it gives the logo a bit of like a 3D effect, or like it makes it like stand out from the background even more. So just a few dark spots, just like so. What more can we do to make this background a bit more interesting? I think we can make some sort of line to split it. So I'm just going to grab the pen tool and create kind of a line that goes in between, something like that. Just connect it on one side, make a selection, and you can just fill it in with black. And we're going to use our eraser tool, kind of a soft, and just create some sort of like a gradient. And then what we're just going to do and go to filter, blur, then Gaussian blur, around 10-ish. And then I'm just going to drag down the opacity, because I think it's a bit too much, too dramatic. Kind of like so. And what we can do is do like the opposite to that. We're going to create kind of a light shape right here. So just create a shape like that with the pen tool and fill it in with, and I'm just going to do the brush tool and soften the edges, so get something like that. And then I'm just going to blur it again with the Gaussian blur, and I'm just going to make it a blending mode. I think maybe like overlay or something. Yeah, I think overlay looks really cool. And then maybe add some more like circles like we did right here and right here. So again, I'm just going to choose the elliptical marker tool and create kind of like a circle like this. It's going to fill it in with a radial gradient, kind of like so. We want the dark at the top like this. We're going to add a slight inner shadow, like so, and then just add a Gaussian blur to it, around 5, kind of like that. And then I think use Control and U and drag down the lightness a bit. I think something like that looks cool. I'm just going to add another like colorful gradient line around it. So I'm just going to grab a new marker tool that is round, kind of like that. And we're going to right click on the, that means going to right click with the same tool like selected. I'm going to add a stroke. Let's do two pixels, and the color can be whatever you want, and just click OK. And then just Ctrl and D to deselect it. And then we're just going to double click on it and add a gradient overlay, just like that. And then we can use the brush tool, got a soft brush, and just do something like that. It's great. And let's do one more kind of like a circle shape right here. So this shape is going to contain 3 circles. So I'm just going to do the base one right here and fill it in with quite bright gray, kind of like that. Duplicate it, make it a bit smaller, and this is going to fill in with like a darker gradient. And this base layer we can also add a bevel and emboss. Just alter the size and the opacity of the highlight, kind of like that. And copy this one, make it a bit smaller. We're going to add our usual inner shadow, kind of like so, and just add a Gaussian blur to it, quite small this time, around 2 pixels I think. And you can always group it and add a curves layer if you want it a bit darker. Make sure it's a clip mask. And try down the shadows just a bit. Great, so I'm just gonna put this on the edge right here. So I'm just going to make this all a group, just like so. And duplicate it and put it on the other side as well. And I think that's it for like the main shape of the banner. Right now I'm just going to add a few stuff that's going to like enhance the whole effect, and it's going to make it a little bit nicer, but we're not going to do any more shapes. So I'm just going to make a new layer and grab our brush tool, have black and white selected, and I'm just going to put some spots of black where I want it to be like more darker, and some shadow, so maybe right here. And switch to white where you want to add some highlight, so maybe right here, maybe down here as well. I can add a spot right there as well. And then I'm just going to switch this layer to the blending mode overlay. You can see before and after we get some like shadow and some framing going on. Then I think I just want to add some grain so we can remove some of this like banding effect that we get. So I'm just going to make a new solid color, make it kind of a gray, yes, just like that. And I'm going to fill this in with noise and add noise. Just click rasterize, and I put the amount to be at around 17, distribution as Gaussian, and make sure it's monochromatic. Click OK, and we're going to make this, I think, soft light, no, overlay. Let's do overlay. And then we're going to utilize this layer mask, so we can just fill it in with black. By filling in the layer mask with black, it will remove the effect completely, and then we can just switch to white and we can paint the effect back in. So I'm going to put my brush at around 30% opacity, and I'm just going to add some noise right here in this circle, like that, and just click once and we get some nice noise going on. And let's do the same up here, maybe press twice. It's really cool. And let's do the same with these circles right here. So I think that looks really cool. I think that's all the noise that we need. So yeah, what we can do is maybe add some like particles to make it a bit more colorful. So I'm going to open my Rigger pack. Well, if you find some really nice particles. So here's the version 2 of the Rigger pack. I'm just going to go into particles, and it will be the second one you see. Just drag it over to your document, and I'm just going to drag down the saturation, make a new layer, and going to fill it in with the gradient that we want, or the color that we want. So just like that, we're going to make this layer, I think it's overlay, yeah. And I'm just going to I'm just going to grab the erase tool and remove particles where it doesn't really belong, or so I think just something like that just adds a bit of a nice touch. And last but not least, let's do some more like a contrasty look. I'm going to grab black and white, and we're going to change it to the blending mode color dodge. Then we're going to use the layer mask again, fill it in with black, and then we're just going to paint it back in with some white. So maybe around these like light bars right here, and just to enhance those a bit. I think that goes a long way. Great, so just like that. And for our final touch, I think it's going to group everything, Ctrl J and then Ctrl E to merge it. We'll do filter, other, high pass. I'm going to set the radius quite low to like 4. And we're going to make this the blending mode hard light. You can see we get these really like sharp lines, but it's a bit too much. So I'm just going to reduce the opacity around like 15, so we get just some like more sharpness and contrast to the image. And I think that's it for this really cool like shape banner. I really hope you enjoyed it, and it's like I said in the beginning, if this video reaches 600 likes, I will release this PSD for free. So all you can do is just go in, maybe put your logo, put your name, and the banner is yours for free. But we need this video to hit 600 likes first, of course. So yeah, if you enjoyed it, and drop a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on post notifications, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.